this topic. This Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita, first chapter, 161 verse. And this verse says, Nishay kariya kahi shun bhaktgan, ebar na jaben Prabhu Shri Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada translates, with great assurance, he means 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Anand Brahmachari in this context. Then told the devotees that Lord Chaitanya would not go to Vrindavan at that time. Now what is happening is, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport what is happening, and I am reading and I will explain as I go on. Srila 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Anand Brahmachari was a great devotee of Lord. In fact, 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Anand Brahmachari was such a great devotee that in Adi Leela, Krishna Consciousness Swami explains that his original name was Pradyum Mishra or Pradyum Brahmachari, and he was renamed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Anand Brahmachari because he was a great devotee of Lord Narasimha, and at the same time a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada writes, when he heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard that from Kulia, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, although he had no material wealth, he began to construct within his mind a very attractive path or road for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to travel. So what was happening was, there was information which was sent from Odisha to Bengal through a devotee, Shrikant Sen. Mahaprabhu told him that he will be going to Vrindavan, and on the way he will be meeting devotees of Bengal. So Bengal comes on the way to Vrindavan. So devotees were happy, very happy, and Mahaprabhu came the next year, and he was traveling along the path. 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Anand Brahmachari, what he was doing is, he was constructing a very attractive road, a pathway on which Mahaprabhu would travel. In his mind, Prabhupada, he didn't have any wealth, he was a brahmachari, but he wanted to serve the Lord Chaitanya, and in his mind he was putting jewels on the road from Vrindavan, from Navdeep, where they were staying from Bengal, to a place called as on the path to Vrindavan. Everybody knew the routine path, routine way. So on the way he was constructing this, he was trying to put flowers on the pathway in his mind. Remember, he's doing everything is in his mind, he's imagining, and he was putting jewels on the pathway. He was beautifying the ponds which are famous, so which will fall on the pathway to Vrindavan, and he was putting flowers and he was decorating them, he was putting trees and whatnot he was doing. But even mentally he could not construct the road beyond 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗃. There is a place between Vrindavan and Bengal on the border of Bengal, UP and Jharkhand, which is known as 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗃. So he could mentally decorate the path using his imagination in his mind only till 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗃, not up to Vrindavan. And that was interesting, and no matter how much he tried, he couldn't decorate it beyond the 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗃. And he came to conclude by this, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this year will not travel beyond 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗃. He will come back from there and go back to Odisha. Now he told this to devotees, and devotees were surprised. What is this? But they believed him because he was a pure devotee, and other devotees were also pure devotee, and they knew this is possible. A pure devotee can predict what the Lord is going to do by the mercy of Lord himself. So he couldn't decorate, and that was a stop. Now this is incidents, but the idea is behind this whole pastime. What we have to learn from this pastime is, Srila Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport. He says, for a pure devotee, it is same whether he materially constructs a path or constructs one within his mind. Now this is quite interesting. Prabhupada is saying, you can serve God, you can serve Krishna externally by using things and the material objects which are available in this world. For example, you can make a temple, you can offer food, you can construct a pathway for the devotees to travel, to come, or a pathway on which you can take lords, idol deities on a palanquin and do a parikrama. All these things you can do. But another way to serve Krishna is to serve in your mind. In your mind you can cook, you can offer to Krishna on an altar in your mind. In your mind you can make a beautiful temple for Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, for a pure devotee. Now this is important. It is same whether he mentally constructs a path or constructs within his mind. So remember this, for a pure devotee. You should remember this point, and then I'll come back to it. But the point is, this is because Supreme Personality of Godhead is 𝗪𝗪grahi, or appreciative of the sentiments. Now Krishna doesn't necessarily, God doesn't want anything from you. He doesn't really want things from you. I mean to say, you can cook for him and offer to him on an altar, but for him, whatever we make in our kitchen, that's first of all not absolutely pure, and second of all, it's not of great quality. It's all mundane, dead matter. He is a king of spiritual world and 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, and he has far more superior quality of food and delicacies in his spiritual kingdom, and that's all spiritual, by the way. It's not made of dead matter. So why will be interested in all this? What is interested is not in the food, but in the sentiments behind offering the food. Now if that's the case, you're offering a food, you're offering chapati and dal and everything, and make it, and or pizza and whatever you want to do, and you're offering on the altar, but he doesn't want really those kind of items. He wants the sentiments in your mind. If that's the case, then you can equally offer the food in your mind and with sentiments, and he will accept those sentiments. What he wants is the sentiments in your mind that can be offered to Krishna externally through things, or it can be offered to Krishna internally through your imagination. So it doesn't make any difference. That's why it is said Krishna is 𝗪𝗪grahi. This is an important point. There is a verse in Sanskrit, 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗪𝗀 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 𝗪𝗪𝗪 something, and then 𝗪grahi Janardana. The idea is, this verse says, some people use the word Vishnave, some people use the word Vishnuai. Now according to Sanskrit, the word Vishnu in Chaturthi Vibhakti, you don't need to understand Sanskrit, but the word Vishnu in Sanskrit, when we say for Vishnu, then we have to change the form of the word and we say Vishnave. That's the exact change. But some people say Vishnuai, which is actually wrong Sanskrit grammar. But even if somebody says Vishnuai, Krishna will accept his offering because he is 𝗪𝗪grahi. He accepts the sentiment behind it. Just like children, children, they don't know how to talk, and they stammer, and they mince words, they don't use right words, and they might tell to parent, Papa, accept me, accept it, some wrong English. But the father will understand, but he will be very happy because father understands what he's trying to do, even if he can't express himself. He or she can't express himself. So the words may be misspelled or grammatically wrong, but the sentiments are right, and that's what parents want. Similarly, God wants sentiment. That's why it's called 𝗪𝗪grahi. We should remember that. Bhava means attitude, or Prabhupada says sentiments of a devotee. As Prabhupada says, for God, a path made of actual jewels and a path made of mental jewels are the same. And that's though subtle mind is also matter, so any path indeed, anything for service of Lord, whether in gross matter, subtle matter, accepted equally by Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever you imagine in mind, that's subtle matter, that's happening on subtle level. Whatever he is doing externally, that's gross level. Krishna is not interested in subtle or gross. That's the job of jnanis. Subtle and subtlest. Krishna is interested in sentiments. Your attitude Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, attitude is a key. Rupa Goswami uses the word cheshta, and cheshta plus next level is bhav, emotions. Krishna cares for these two things, attitude and emotions. Attitude means intentions behind what you do, and emotions. And he's seeing that Prabhupada writes here, Lord accepts the attitude of his devotee and see how much he is prepared to serve him. Krishna is interested in the efforts you do in your service. So it's all about attitude, emotions, intentions, your efforts behind the service. It's all about everything to do with mind, and that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, you can offer me a leaf, a water, a flower, I'll be happy. But the best thing you can offer to me is Manmana Bhav Mad Bhakto, your mind. Why mind? Because all these intentions, attitude, emotions, and the willpower, that all lies in the mind. And that's why Krishna says, give me mind, that's what I want. I want to see your mind, I want your mind. Other things are there, but if you don't give me your mind, and if you give me another thing, I'm not going to accept it, I'm not going to be happy with that. The important point is that the service be in relation to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada is saying the most important point is service should be in relationship of God. And Prabhupada then mentions there that one does not have to be very rich, even the poorest man can serve Supreme Personality of Godhead equally. Now this is an important point even for devotees. We can practice. Prabhupada says for a pure devotee. By pure devotee we mean devotees whose goal and intentions are clear. A pure devotee is one whose intention is to serve God. A pure devotee is one whose attitude is to please Krishna. It might not be 100%, but if your attitude is clear, you are a pure devotee. And if on the top of that you have, your heart is also pure, not just intentions, and you have love for God, then you are great devotee, Paramahams devotee. So Prabhupada says, if you're practicing Krishna consciousness, you can practice this. Why not? I mean to say, you can say my mind is impure, so if I offer everything in my mind, why will Krishna accept? Well, if your mind is impure and if you have this doubt, why will Krishna accept? Then why will equally Krishna accept anything offered on the altar, which you are offering physically? How can you be sure Krishna accepted that? Because you are impure. So, the philosophy is Krishna accepts. Krishna first of all doesn't need our services, either mentally or physically, doesn't require. Well, he still nevertheless accepts our services to make us pure. It's not that when we will become pure, then we will start offering him mentally. That's wrong. On the other hand, it's the reverse idea. When we offer to him something and he accepts it, then we become pure. That's all about service. So we can practice, and this practice is approved by Prabhupada. One of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada in early days, he went to prison for some drug dealings, and he was there for 3 months, and that's recorded in letters, and he wrote a letter to Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, I don't have any Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities here in the prison, so in the morning I get up, at the time of Mangal Arati, I sit, I imagine, I meditate on Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities in the temple, and I offer Arati in my mind. Is it okay? Srila Prabhupada said, it's a long letter, but one of the statements of Prabhupada is, it's not okay, actually it's desired. It is required that one serves Krishna's mind, because how much physically we can serve Krishna? There's a limit to it. And then there are other things, we are busy a whole day in some other things. But whatever you're doing in your mind, you can keep on serving Krishna. You can offer a nice flower to Krishna, a golden lotus flower, while you are taking bath, while you are bathing to his lotus feet. And If your intentions are true and if your motive is to please Him, He will accept it. And that's good, I mean to say. Physically you can't get a golden lotus. At least mentally you can get it. But there's a caution, that new devotees might not be able to do it because your mind is very disturbed. It needs a little practice and it needs a little good chanting. But after some time, when your mind is practiced and you have chanted for some years, then you can practice in your mind. That's very nice practice. You can be walking on the road and you can offer an incense to Krishna. That's nice. You can fan Him in your mind. It's a good practice and you can practice it in your life, in your Krishna consciousness, and that will make your mind completely busy in Krishna consciousness. No matter what you're doing, where you are, you might be waiting on an airport for a flight, you can chant. You can chant Hare Krishna, that you can do. But, and that's equally good, I mean, we can chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But sometimes we get tired of chanting. Sometimes it's practical. Sometimes the mind doesn't get fixed on chanting. At that time you can stop chanting. And what do? You can read book. Sometimes you can't read book. You don't like reading book. What do? Well, you can offer a flower in your mind. You can offer an arti in your mind. That's very nice. You can sing a song for Krishna in your mind, a bhajan. So this is some kind of practice you can add in your life besides chanting and besides reading Prabhupada books, and it's a very powerful practice. It's a very powerful practice to always think about Krishna, never to forget Him. So we are not saying that you should do it 24 hours. You should sit and just keep on doing this. That's nonsense. We have to do services, we have to chant, we have to read. But we are just suggesting, Prabhupada is saying, well, you can, Prabhupada wrote a letter, it is desired, it is required. Sometimes when you are unable to do anything else, just sit and think. Sometimes when you are going to sleep, before sleeping, just offer something to Krishna in your mind. That's a very nice thing. It's very joyful and it's very nice, and it can be added in your Krishna conscious life, and it will boost your Krishna consciousness, make your mind happy, and a happy mind can then serve Krishna with double energy, double enthusiasm and double power. But I just want to give a cautionary note here. This kind of thing, serving Krishna in mind, that's called as 𝗦𝗪ci seva. Keep in mind. This 𝗦𝗪ci seva, our acharyas were very cautious about this, because what sahajiyas do is, they do 𝗦𝗪ci seva, they serve Krishna in the mind. But that 𝗦𝗪ci seva, the concept of 𝗦𝗪ci seva is very different what Prabhupada is trying to say here. Because in 𝗦𝗪ci seva, 𝗦𝗪ci seva means serving Krishna mentally, but that kind of 𝗦𝗪ci seva which Rajvasis and Sahajiyas do, that's very different, because they imagine themselves to be some gopi or some friend and then serve Krishna. And that's wrong. You can't do that. You can't imagine yourself something and then serve Krishna. That's called 𝗦𝗪ci seva. They think I'm a gopi, I have this name and this sari, and then they imagine themselves to be a gopi and then cook something for Krishna and then serve. That's ridiculous. That kind of thing we are not suggesting here. We are just saying, just as you offer food on the altar, you can close your eyes and offer food on the altar in your mind. That's all. It's as simple as that. And nobody is suggesting you can do you just sit and do 24 hours. That's also not proposed. Prabhupada is saying sometimes you can do that in your mind, and in addition to your services, reading and chanting, and that will make your Krishna consciousness very blissful and keep you engaged in service. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any, if there is any questions, you can put in comments now, or in the description I have my mail. You can mail to me and ask some questions.
How to channelize Rajagun in order to use mind in seva?
Or how to channelize
Rajagun in order to use mind in seva.
How to channelize Rajagun to use mind in seva? Well, Narottam Das Thakur says, Kam Krishna Karm Arpane. Narottam Das Thakur says, gives a very beautiful understanding. He says, if you want to channelize your Rajagun, that is basically energy and lust and all these things, passion, Krishna Arpane. What you do is, you use that in service of Krishna. So suppose if you're very passionate about cooking, cook for Krishna. You're very passionate about singing, sing for Krishna. Of course, you don't have to sing rock songs and nonsense. You have to sing what Krishna likes. If you're passionate about cooking, you can't just cook ice creams for Krishna. You have to cook what he likes. So that's how you engage your energy in Krishna consciousness. If you're passionate about reading, read books. If you're passionate about sales and management, distribute books. If you're passionate about management, temple management. So that's how you can engage our passion, Rajagun, in service of Krishna. Is there any other question? Okay, so we'll end up here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.